In another video, I talked about how asking questions while reading aloud can really support your child's understanding of a story. Today, I want to build on that and share one more thing you can do to deepen their comprehension even more. Talk with your child about the most important parts of a story. It's a small addition that can make a big difference. Welcome back to another SLAM video. I'm Lizbeth Stone, and I've spent over 30 years working as a learning resource specialist, supporting students in reading and math from preschool to 5th grade. In school, especially in the early grades, teachers spend a lot of time helping their students understand the basic structure of a story. They ask about who the characters are, where the story takes place, what problem the characters face, and how the problem gets solved. These conversations aren't just helpful, they're essential. They build the foundation for developing strong reading comprehension skills. When you talk about these parts of a story at home, you're also helping your child build key skills like how to retell a story, how to write their own story, and how to prepare for more complex reading later on. Asking these questions encourages your child to express their ideas out loud, which helps strengthen their language development. And once they start to expect these kinds of questions, they'll begin to pay even closer attention to what you're reading them, helping them stay focused and remember more of the story. This is also giving their memory a boost too, and maybe most important of all, it will increase your child's confidence. If they feel like they get a story and know all the most important parts, they're more likely to participate in classroom discussions in school. At SLAM, we're always looking for fun and exciting ways to support learning. And one of our favorite tools is something you already have at home, a stuffed animal. Yes, that's right. Something as simple as a stuffed animal can provide a framework for helping your child remember the most important story elements and have fun doing it. So, meet Alex. That's the name I've given to my stuffed animal. Alex has 6 parts we use as clues, one for each key part of a story. Here's how we use each part of Alex to guide the conversation. We'll start with Alex's eyes. The eyes help us remember who we are seeing in the story. So we ask, who are the main characters? Who is the story really about? This may seem obvious, but naming the main characters helps your child focus on who matters most and whose feelings, decisions, and actions are important to pay attention to. Next, we move to Alex's mouth. It reminds us to talk about how the characters feel and how those feelings might change throughout the story. Talking about emotions helps your child connect more deeply with what's happening in the story. They start thinking not just about what happened, but how the characters were affected. It helps your child practice emotional awareness, realizing that people or animals can react differently in the same situation. It also helps them build their emotional vocabulary. Instead of just saying the character was sad, your child might learn to say the character was disappointed or frustrated. These are words that are more specific and expressive, and developing an emotional vocabulary helps your child better understand and express their own feelings too. You might ask questions such as, how do you think the character feels right now? What do you think happened to make them feel that way? And if your child is having a hard time coming up with words, you can offer choices. You might ask, do you think the main character is feeling happy, nervous, or scared? Then we move on to Alex's belly. This reminds us to think about the setting of the story. Where does the story take place? When your child can picture the setting, they can better visualize where the characters are and where they may go. A character running in a dark forest creates a very different image than a character walking through a quiet hallway. These pictures help create a little movie in their head, which helps make the story easier to follow. And understanding the setting also gives helpful clues about how a character might feel or behave. A character who is lost in a big city may feel very nervous and scared, where someone on a farm might feel calm. You might ask, where does the story happen? Did the setting change? Next, we move to Alex's head. This helps us think about the main problem in the story or the unexpected event that sets the story in motion. The problem is what drives the story forward. It gives the main character something to overcome, figure out, or learn from. When your child can clearly identify the problem, they start making sense of how and why things happen. They begin thinking critically about the character's choices and motivations. And here's why that's so important. As your child moves into later grades, the books get longer and the problems in these stories get more complex. There will be more characters, more layers, and the main issue might not be as easy to spot. Your child won't just be asked what happened, they'll be asked why it happened or how a character changed, and they'll need to explain their answers using examples from the book. So when you practice this now with simpler stories, you're helping prepare your child for those deeper thinking tasks ahead. A few questions you might ask are, what was the problem or unexpected event of the story? What went wrong? What was the character trying to fix or figure out? We then move on to Alex's foot. That helps us to talk about how the story ends, if and how the problem gets solved. This helps your child see how the whole story ties together, from the beginning through the middle and to the end. They're learning to connect a character's actions to the final outcome. This helps build deeper comprehension and strengthens critical thinking. It shows that they truly understand what they read. You might ask questions like, how did the character solve the problem? Or how did the story end? The last body part we use is Alex's hand. It reminds your child to retell the most important details in the story. Retelling isn't easy, especially for beginning readers, but it's a very valuable skill. It pushes your child to think about what happened, figure out what details matter most, and put those events in the right order, using their own words. This shows that they are thinking about the story and making sense of how everything fits together. They're demonstrating that they understood what they read. This is a powerful way to check for comprehension. Since Alex doesn't have 5 fingers, I like to use my own hand to help with the retelling, and I make sure to use a transition word for each finger. This provides an additional framework for making their retelling of a story easier. Here's how I do it. I start with my thumb and say first or in the beginning, then move to my index finger, then middle finger, next, ring finger after that, pinky finger finally or at the end of the story. How does this sound when you're doing it with your child? Let's take the book Corduroy by Don Freeman and walk through it together. We'd start by pointing to the eyes and asking who are the main characters in the story. Then we'd move to the mouth and talk about how each main character felt. The characters can feel lots of different things throughout a story, but when we're just starting out, it helps to keep it simple. So just focus on how the main characters feel at the beginning and at the end of the story. I'd ask, how does Lisa feel at the beginning of the story? Then I'd ask, how does Lisa feel at the end of the story? Now we talk about Corduroy. How does Corduroy feel at the beginning and how does he feel at the end? Then I'd move to the belly. I'd ask, where does the story take place? Next, we'd move up to the head. What's the problem or unexpected thing that happens in the story? Then I'd move to the foot. I'd ask, what happened at the end of the story? And finally, we'd use the hand to retell the story. I'd say, use your fingers to tell what happened from beginning to end. And they might say, first, Corduroy feels lonely until Lisa sees him and wants to buy him. Then Lisa's mom notices the missing button and says no. Next, Corduroy explores the store to try to find his button. After that, the night guard finds him and puts him back on the shelf. At the end of the story, Lisa comes back with her own money, buys Corduroy, and sews on a new button.
All right, Lottie, we're gonna use Penguin to help us retell the story, okay? So, Penguin's eyes. Who are the main characters in the story?
The 3 little wolves and the big bad pig.
Yes, okay. And then the mouth, Penguin's mouth. How do you think the little wolves were feeling at the beginning of the story?
Scared, sad,
How come?
because the pig came over and kept knocking down their houses.
How do you think the pig felt at the beginning?
Angry,
He was angry. What do you think about at the end? How did they feel?
happy,
Happy? How come?
because they got along and they shared and they got to play games together and do stuff together.
Okay. All right, now Penguin's tummy, the setting. Where did this story take place?
In the houses.
And then Penguin's head is the problem. So what was the problem in this story?
The big bad pig kept knocking down the houses.
Penguin's feet. How did the story end?
They all got along and shared.
Tell me the story with the hand, okay? So first, next, then finally, okay?
First, the 3 little wolves start building houses. Next, the big bad pig came
Okay.
and broke the houses down. And then the 3 little wolves built another house. And the big bad pig came and knocked down the second house.
Did they try to make it stronger?
Yeah. And then the 3 little wolves built a flower house. And finally, they all got along
Why?
because the big bad pig liked the house that they made, and so we wouldn't destroy it. And they worked together and shared together.
Good job. That's very good. Lottie, did you like using Penguin to help you retell the story?
Yes,
How come?
because he helps me remember all the important parts of the story.
Thank you for watching this SLAM video. I hope you enjoyed learning more about how to strengthen your child's reading comprehension by talking about the most important parts of a story. If this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. For a link to Alex's 6 body parts and more reading and math activities, visit our website, slamhomelearning.org.